Hello, I'm Generation 3DX. Welcome back to my series on creating beautiful art in DAZ Studio. In this 9th and final part to the series, I'll be performing a full demo of a DAZ scene from concept to final render, along the way demonstrating the various key concepts that have been taught in the previous episodes. So let's get right down to it. This will be a fully honest demo which I have done no preparation beyond my commonly used presets and characters. This is in order to simulate the experience that you will typically go through in creating a new scene from scratch. So where do we start when we are thinking about a new scene? Well, we want to consider what characters or a character or characters are going to feature in it. We want to consider the background or the setting of the scene, and we want to consider whether it is going to be night or day, because that will influence the lighting. If it's a nighttime scene, then we'll be looking at scene lights usually, and or a combination of scene lights and spotlights. If it's a daytime scene, even if it's indoors, then we'll be wanting to look at a dome light, since dome lights create the most realistic daytime lighting. We also want to consider whether it's going to be inside or outside. If it's outside, it's almost always going to be in the daytime, unless you're going to go with this Hollywood method of lighting up a night scene with these huge spotlights, which I never thought was particularly realistic. And if it's an inside scene, then it could be day or night. And as mentioned, if it was day, you want to consider an HDRI dome. If it's night, then you've got all your lights, so your scene lights in your scene to consider. The beautiful thing about being an artist is that the canvas is infinite. The potential canvas is infinite, but that can also represent a challenge sometimes. So you usually just have to go with your gut and what you're thinking about, what are you interested in, because you're usually going to find that something that's piqued your interest, whether it's a particular character that you want to just go back to, or you want to explore a new type of lighting or environment or something like that, then that's going to be your guide to where to go. So let's first think about characters. I have 7 characters that I use on a regular basis, and I like all of them. I don't want to say I have favorites, although I probably do. So out of those characters, I think about who I was last working with, and maybe I feel like I'm neglecting one character and need to bring them back because they haven't had a set or a scene for a while, or and so on. So anyway, you can be the judge of which character you want to bring back. In this case, I'm having a soft spot for Kayla right now, as you might have noticed on some of my other videos. So we're going to bring Kayla in. So let's load up Kayla. And I'm going to pull her in from a scene I've just been working on, and then we'll remove some of the other scene elements as a result. There are ways that you can save characters as scene subsets. That can be one way to do it, but I tend to forget to do this when I make an update, and then so it's usually more guaranteed for me to make sure I have the latest version of that character by just loading the last scene that I was working with them on. Okay, so here she is in this scene, which you may recall from right at the end of the last video, actually. So that's probably a good segue to go into this video, isn't it? Let me just adjust this viewport so that it's more suitable for our viewing pleasure for this demo. Okay, and we'll just leave that camera there for the minute. We won't worry too much about camera. So we're going to clear out the lights. And we'll clear out the background, and we'll just get rid of that second camera as well. Right, okay, so here's Kayla. We're not necessarily going to have her in those clothes for the moment, but obviously I couldn't load her in naked because otherwise the YouTube police would arrest me. Alright, so we now have our character, and actually while we're on the subject of the character, I actually bought a new hair product, and I'm just dying to try that out on her. So let's actually remove the current hair, so she's going to be temporarily bald just for a moment, and this new hair comes in a short and a long version. Let me just try the short version first. So in this particular hair product, there are no there are no presets. And we know she's a blonde, so we'll load in this material. And we'll leave transparency. Actually, no, we'll change this transparency. This, I think, is full-on transparency, but I find it's a little blocky if we have full transparency, so make it slightly transparent. Now, I just realized I ended up removing those lights. So if we go to iRay Preview now, then she's going to be completely dark. So we actually, we'll put those lights back in. Okay, and I'll just temporarily put those lights on her. These are not necessarily going to be the final lights in the scene, but I actually need to actually see her, and she's actually pointing in the wrong direction there. And we'll swing this camera around. Oh, that looks more like it. Actually, but let's get her onto a 0 pose, actually, so that she's fully lined up on the 0 axis, X, Y, and Z axis. So we select Kayla. Got to edit figure, 0 figure pose. Right. Now I just realized it's actually my lights that are pointing in the wrong direction on that preset. So we'll have to swing around again. There we go. Very good. Okay, so I'm just apprising her hair product to see if her hair is something that I'm going to want to be working with, and I might change it later. But if we look at that hair from a number of different angles, the great thing about having your character with no scene at all is you can get very quick updates on iRay Preview. That is a very, very nice hair product. I do like that a lot. That's a high quality hair. I'll put a link in the description. That particular hair product, it is wild. It's called Wild Hair, and it's by Sagittarius A, and I got that from Render Hub. So yeah, I'll link that in the description. Right. Okay. So I'm happy with the character for the moment. We're going to change the clothes at some point, but this is the next decision point. Well, it's not a decision point now, but it's something you want to be thinking about, is how you're going to clothe your character. Whether you want to whether you want them in casual clothing like this, or whether you want them in some kind of evening wear, or you know, a swimsuit or something, because that's going to determine the clothes and the scene are going to go together. So if you're, for instance, you've got somebody at their home, then they could be in casual clothing, or they could be actually thinking about it. If they're on the way out, they're going to go on a night out, then they could actually put their evening wear on, and you know, they have the picture taken before they actually go out to remember to mark the occasion. But obviously, if you're in some kind of fancy restaurant or something like that, then you know, you're looking at a different type of clothing there. So we're going to delay that decision. And then let's actually now look at consider what scene that we might want to be looking at. So go to environments. Got this all ready to go. So with the environment set up, with the environment selected in your smart content, and if you select the products tab, because the files tab is just too much. There's just endless quantities of information there, which is just an overload. So if you want to be browsing for a new scene to consider, then that's your best bet. Environments and products. Okay, right. That Kayla's already been in the Cyberpunk Studio apartment. If you know my DeviantArt page, there was a whole set that I did with her. About 18 months ago, actually. Church, I'm not feeling in a churchy mood. The Driftwood Spa is a possibility. That is the one that features on the opening titles of every video in this series. She was recently in an indoor pool scene, so I'm not going to be doing that. High Street Kitchen. Let's have a look at that. So usually when you're presented with an environment, it's sometimes you have set and then sometimes you have scene. My understanding is set does not include any lighting, whereas scene is everything. Scene will do environment, options, everything. So I think we can safely merge this into the scene. It doesn't affect our lighting. Let's go to perspective view. Well, she's there, but in that other camera view, we lost her. Okay, so let's have a look around this scene, see if it's any good. Oh, she's in the middle of a table right now, so let's move her out the way of that. Yeah, it's actually very, very slow to update on iRay, which is a clue that this could be a long render time. And there's a lot of details that are going on this scene in terms of content. Alright, so it's basically a studio. It looks like a studio apartment. I've actually never worked with this scene before. I downloaded it because it was on sale. Alright, so there's a possibility there. Kayla could be in the kitchen. Well, you know, sometimes the most mundane of daily activities can be inspiration for art. Okay. Although I suspect we're probably not going to use this, so we'll just hide that for the moment. In fact, it's very difficult to hide a scene because, well, we'll come back to it. We'll delete it and we might come back to it later. You did that one in a recent set. I did that one, done that one. I don't think I've done this one. Let's have a look at this. Oh, yes, this one. I did this on a demo when we were looking at rendering. And of course the one on color. Anyway, so I know what that one's about. Maybe we'll come back to it later. Shower set? No, because this is a family show. The spa and lounge. Yeah, when we load this one in, it's actually a pretty good set. I've not actually done anything with it. It's a pretty high quality set from what I remember. So you've got your massage tables there, and you've got some windows, some lights. Yeah, yeah, lots and lots of lights. So that could work in a nighttime scene as well. But I think for the for the PG audience that we have, I don't think we can really go into this territory. So it's probably going to be a no for spa and lounge. Yoga studio, I've done a whole set with that. Japan capsule hotel. Now this is potentially quite interesting. Let's have a go. Let's have a look at this. Let's actually load the scene because that's going to, it'll load in the lighting and everything. See what it looks like. And we'll just hide our studio lights. Yeah, this looks intriguing. So does one of the capsules actually have a room in it? Look at that. Yes, it does. I was just watching a video about Tokyo today, actually. It's an intriguing concept, isn't it? Although you really are quite limited for space. But I am having the idea now that we could have her with a bag just opened and arriving at this capsule. So there's definitely a scene potential here. Definitely a scene potential here. Okay, I'm just going to look at one or two more, and then if not, if we don't have any additional inspiration beyond that, we're going to come back to this one, I think. Level 19. That is just, I think, some kind of industrial scene. Let me have a look. Yeah, I don't think this is a very high quality environment. It looks like it was made about 10 years ago. Yeah, that's a solid no from me. I don't even know why I bought it. It must have been at like $2 or something. Okay. Modern Loft. Have I looked at this one? Yes, I think. Oh yeah, no, definitely not that one. That was the first scene I ever worked with when I started with Daz. Modern House 5. I believe this is more of an outdoory, this is like for outdoors in the garden. I don't think there's really anything inside the house, and I'm feeling like an indoor. I'm feeling indoors tonight. Modern Rustic House, I've used that quite a few times. The Rural Chateau has definitely been used a lot. I've used the Night Lounge. Rocky Mountains backyard. Let's have a look. Never actually used this. I've had it in my library for a long time, but never actually used it. So this is a bit like it's always a bit of a lottery when you actually download environments, because you never know about the quality that you're going to get. This is actually pretty good. This is pretty good. It's not bad. Although that actually looks very, very blocky. Ah, he's let down by the furniture. Maybe I'm just an arch critic, but this looks... no, that looks terrible. No, sorry. It's a hard pass from me because of the furniture. Oh, it's just dumped a load of cameras. Let me just undo the load. A hard pass on Rocky Mountain backyard. Royal Palace. It's a nice set. I haven't really used it, but that's going to require... oh, let's have a look. Let's have a look. That's definitely one where you're going to be looking at clothing. That's going to be appropriate. And I do have some old dress. I do have some old-fashioned dresses and stuff like that. But it's whether we want to go down that route. As you can see, the quality on this set is really, really rather good. We've even got a massive mirror there. Yeah, it's a really quite a nice set, that, and I've not actually really used it. Did a couple of images on it once, but not a full series of images. Okay, let's been impaled on the table again. Yeah, maybe I'll come back to that one. Royal Palace, Royal Chateau. I've used that a lot. Skagar. Yeah, that's very. That's like a brutalist. It's a brutalist scene. Brutalist concrete architecture. Certainly something that could actually might be suitable for this demo. If we want to go super arty. I don't know what's going on with the light there. That light looks a bit strange. So we can go into these shadows here. Yeah, there's something going on with the light there. I don't know quite what that is. If there's some kind of fog effect on, I don't know. And because it's something I don't really understand and I'm not going to get into in this demo. So that's a no to Skagar. Tesla Studio Apartment. I don't know if I've ever even looked at that. Okay, it's one of those things where you're trying to find where the scene is. Okay, so here we go. So this is, yeah, I think I do remember, I remember this one now. I've never used it. I gotta feel some kind of inspiration that I'd want to do. I mean, what would look probably good here is if you did a dome with, say, New York City or something through these big lights, or Tokyo or something, or you know, a city center would look good through those windows. But I don't really have the wherewithal or the inclination to want to do that on this demo. I want to keep it simple. And that is going to be something I'm going to do on an advanced video for another day. The subject of domes, dome lighting, and showing domes. So it's not a hard pass on that, but just not tonight, basically. Tunnel of Light, I've used that. Upscale Apartment, I'm in the middle of an actual set on that, so we're not going to be doing that. I've used that one in a big scene. Didn't really like it. Was disappointed. What is this one here? West Park. I think that came with comes with Dad's Studio. I think it's going to be the Capsule Hotel. I've made my decision. So we've got our set. We have our character. Now we need to think about how the character is going to relate to the set, and start thinking about a position, and then a pose. Okay, so we think of some kind of story behind this. She's traveling, and she's traveling on a budget, and because Tokyo Hotel is apparently very expensive, hence the whole concept of capsules that you just stay in. So the question is, where would we put her? We want to, how do we show off the scene how do we show that this is a capsule and actually look inside with her in it, and so that the viewer knows that is a capsule. Now the problem here is because this is a very tight space, I'm very limited with the cameras that I can work with here. So I might end up cheating and actually removing some of this so that we can actually get the camera in there without this happening. So I'll do that now. So I'm just going to remove, well, that's if I make that decision. If I make that decision, then we're not going to have the scene. We're not going to have that scene with her in the corridor, which potentially is going to be losing information for the viewer, because it might be that we'd actually want to do two. It'll be a dual scene, and we can certainly consider that actually. So the first scene could be her arriving and then opening the. I hope that's an opening. Yes, it is. You can actually open it. That's good. So we can use that to open these other ones. I don't know if you want to not open or shut. So we'll go for a double scene. Okay, we're just doubling the amount of work I'm going to have to do for this demo, because there are some times where you just, you know, sometimes just a single photo works, but in this case I think it'd be difficult to convey a story or communicate a narrative without doing both. So before I get into that, I need to return again, I think, to Kayla and what she's going to be wearing. I've just realized I don't have any suitcases, backpacks or anything like that in terms of accessories that are going to be needed for this scene, so I'm going to have to just spend a couple of minutes finding one online, buying it and then loading it. So I'll be right back. Okay, well that was fun. I didn't really find some suitable bags online that I wanted, so I ended up having to drag in a bag which is actually a Poser Content, which is the application that was around before Daz. If you want to know more about that, it was a brief history of Daz. It was in my first episode on the series, second episode. Anyway, so we've got our bag in there now. It's like a hobo bag, I guess. It's like an overnight bag. So that was the prop that we were looking for. So now let's think about Kayla's clothes. Okay. I don't want to mess with this camera, but let's just get our perspective view back in. Okay, so think about some kind of wardrobe that she would be wearing if she's kind of on the road, and that's not actually far off, I guess, from what she's wearing right now, but we do want to make, for the purposes of the video, want to demonstrate at least some kind of look at wardrobe selection. So we go to Genesate Female Clothing. I'm just going to scroll down here. I think I definitely know that we want to have her in trainers, and I remember these, or sneakers if you're American. Right, so we've got sneakers on. They don't have a colour on for the moment. We can match those colours once we decided. I think we'll keep her in jeans. Yeah, I think we'll leave the jeans on. So yeah, I think we'll leave her in her jeans, and so we just need to think about her top. Some casual wear. A good one is Mega Wardrobe. I need to find it. There it is, OOT Mega Wardrobe. Okay, so we have a number of different choices. We can put her in this one here, maybe. Let's have a look. I have to do this carefully so that we don't make her nude and get arrested. So we can hide the sweater. Yeah, maybe. Let me just look at the materials. So we select the t-shirt. Go to surfaces, presets. Right, so here we need to think about her colouring. We know she's a summer season, which is discussed in my last video. So that would be a suitable colour for her. That's just kind of summer palette. And she always looks good in blue. I think this one probably wouldn't work because that's more of a spring autumn colour. Just framed her there so that we can rotate around her. In fact, I'm just going to hide the hotel for the minute Don't know, I'm not totally convinced about this top, to be honest. Let's try something else. Let's try a short sleeve. Well, that's certainly more sexy. Yeah, she could be traveling in the summer. So, so the materials on that one, yeah, we'll get rid of that. So selecting this one. I mean, we would have her in all blue, but it would probably be a bit boring, wouldn't it? I do like that t-shirt, actually. I think she looks good in it, and it shows off her midriff, which is not illegal, but is nonetheless. Well, I mean, I'm a guy, so you know I'm always going to go for that sort of thing. Right. What we can do is to do custom color. I selected the t-shirt because I wasn't particularly enamored with the ones that were on offer here. Okay, because I had her in mind of maybe putting in a pink. So in order to do that, in order to do the custom color, I've just selected the white one. Well, it's not really white, is it? It's kind of a grey. So we go to the editor, shirt and sleeves. So there is a fabric pattern on there. So let's just make that white. See. And we want the glossy color as well. It's still coming through as grey. Yes, because it's that one that's doing it. Don't know a way around that unless the actual texture was edited, which we're not going to do in this video. I mean, you could edit that in Photoshop to bleach it. If we take the layered weight, glossy layered weight off, it still looks grey. Just see if this debug what's going on here. That is still grey. So something else is causing it to be grey. Oh, it was the translucency color. There's 3 different layers here. We've got base, the diffuse layer, which is the basic color scattering, light scattering color, translucency, and then glossy. I think we really need a glossy layer, which is why I turned it off, set that to 0. But the base color, yeah, that should be white. Trying to get it as white as possible, and then we can build the actual pink color from there. Yeah, I think that's as pale as we're going to get it, so let's just try to apply that pink. Yeah, it's darker than what I was wanting, to be honest. If I kill that, I'm going to kill the texture. That's the only problem. That was more the color I was thinking of. Because she's a blonde, I think she looks better in lighter colors. I mean, if we had more time, I would edit this texture. In fact, because I'm a professional, I'm going to do that. Okay, so I'll be right back. Okay, that didn't take too long. That's literally a 2-minute job. So now I'm going to load in browse. So here's the one I created here, the white one. Okay, it's still got a bit of fabric texture on it. And there we go. So now we've got it nice and bright. And we'll do the same with this one as well. The transparency layer. Very good. Okay, that is the color I was looking for. And it's a cool pink as opposed to a warm pink, because she's a summer and she needs cool colors. Okay, we don't want warm colors on here. If I made this salmon pink, for instance, made it warm, well, she still looks all right. But somehow it's not quite working with the blonde hair. So we go back with that cool pink. Okay, so she looks good in that. She looks good in that and the. Let's have a look at the jeans, because the jeans, I think, the jeans have got some really good. The jeans have got some very good color options. Where did the jeans go? Super jeans. There we go. We don't want the sweater anymore. We can get rid of that. Go to presets. So we've now got all these to choose from. We can. I'm not sure which one that is. Well, we're going to keep her in blue because she looks fantastic in blue. So we definitely will eliminate any of the black or grey jeans. I think she's in, is it number 3? Yeah. Okay, so number 3. So maybe because it's summer, she's got a light top on. She's not got a heavy top on. So, you know, she's maybe got this knee length. You could consider that she's got these knee length jeans. Or you could go like that, but that's getting a little bit. That's getting a little bit, you know, that kind of stuff. So we'll go with, and we're definitely going to put her in hot pants. I'm not even going to show you those hot pants on her. Okay, it's a family show. Come on, keep your mind out of the gutter. So good, right? I think I almost preferred her back with the 7/8, to be honest. Yeah. All right, good. So let's now let's just hide that bag. It's in the way. So now we can just do some really good color options on these conform trainers or sneakers, whatever you want to call them. So again, we're thinking about our color palette. We're thinking about the summer color palette. So what colors would look good on her? We could try these ones, but that's the wrong kind of blue. That blue is probably going to be too dark. Well, I suppose it kind of works. So yeah, you can spend a lot of time. Definitely no greens. You can spend a lot of time just going through all these different color options. Okay, pink, we can consider pink because, you know, then we've got the repeat accent going on. Although, would anybody realistically wear those? Yeah, I really don't think these. No, I just did that just for a joke. So we're not going to have those. Maybe we just go with white, but with a blue sole, and we can maybe edit that blue. Okay, I see what it's done there. So we actually have to reset the top color and just undo that nastiness. Okay, so we're all in white. We go that dark blue sole. What does that look like? Yeah, that could work possibly. It's just the upper now. So the upper is now totally white. I need to. So we do that conform white black. Okay, this might actually be a way out of this, and this can demonstrate the use of neutrals, because otherwise it starts to look like we're trying too hard to do color matching. So often an escape from that is just to go with a neutral. I mean, that looks like it looks pretty good without. I mean, she's a traveler, you know what I mean. So she's not going to draw attention to herself, apart from the fact that she's wearing a blushing pink top, which is definitely drawing attention to herself there. For now I'm gonna leave those trainers, the sneakers there, and I'm gonna come back to them, I think. Okay, so you'll find that when you're doing a scene, you're looking at one aspect, like we're looking at clothing there, and you think, okay, I feel burned out on that now. I'm gonna go back and work on some other part of the scene. So that's what I do, and I just think, I can't make up my mind on something. Come back to it later, and then it's on the back burner, and then might have actually an answer might have come out later while I'm looking at something else, got my attention on something else. Okay, all right, so let's re-enable the scene again. Now let's think about the we need to put the bag on her, don't we? This bag is going to be so much trouble, I know, because it's not even a Daz bag, it's a poser bag. Anyway, let's just get this thing up there. I suspect it's not even going to deform, so we're just going to have to just rotate it a little bit. It's going to be a bit of a compromise on this, unfortunately. Okay, so what I'm going to try to do is just going to parent that to her, so that when we move her around, we're not going to have to continually move this around as well. Okay, so now if I move Kayla around now, yeah, the bag follows, so that's fine. Good. I'm relieved that it did that. I was worried for a minute it wasn't even going to do that. Okay, just put it on the vague position for now. When we do the final pose, we'll probably do the bag last. I know it's going to cause problems. So we just have to angle it like that a little bit. It's not going to look right. We might even try to do a deform on it, possibly. We can do an X scale, Y scale. Yeah, yeah, we've got some options there, but expect trouble from that. So let's go to one of those canned cameras that came with it. We had a preloaded camera. Ah, there we go. We weren't in Iron. Okay, so she's just arrived. She's just arrived at the capsule hotel, and she is going to be opening up her capsule. Okay. So now we need to think about what pose she's going to be in, or maybe we can just have her. Yeah, because if we want her actually, just thinking about this. How many capsules do we have? Oh my God, it's like going all the way down a long corridor. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we can put her at, maybe put her at in the middle so that there's a bit of depth to the image, because this is an excellent image for depth. But obviously we don't want her tiny in the scene either. So we're starting to think about framing now. We're starting to think about framing the subject, framing the camera. So if I just move the camera down, move the camera in a bit, I'm going to shut these other ones. You can assume that the other people are either not there or they're tucked in bed. So we need to move her, position her. Okay, there's something really weird happening with this camera. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to boot all of them, and I'm just going to use my own camera, because when something weird like that is happening, I just go with what I know. We'll create a new camera from our default view. Good heavens. Just do main camera. We've still got some other cameras here. Just kill the cameras. I sometimes find these cameras are a nuisance when they come preloaded with the scenes. So just word of advice, just kill the scene cameras and use your own. Right, okay. So there's still one there. Where's that other camera hidden away? There, let's kill that one. Right, okay. So we start with our main camera. Okay, get that in position. So she's going to be coming through on the third one. Yeah, so we'll just bias it this way, so that because if we just had it right in the middle, you can't really see the door. Although that said, we're going to have to be thinking about a pose. So for now, and we can always just adjust it later. We're going to come back to the camera in a minute, because right now I'm thinking about posing. I think posing and camera are interchangeable in terms of your sequence. But let's we might just keep going back and forth between a pose and the camera position. Okay, so that looks like about midway there. Okay, so I'm thinking the way that we can maintain a sensible pose here is that we have this shutter most of the way up, and that she's going to be I'm going to switch to perspective here so I can get a closer thing on it, so that she's going to be lifting it up. Okay, now we could try to do an entire custom pose right from the T position or the 0 pose position, or we could try to find, I mean, I don't think there is going to be a pose here of which would be under the description of Genesis 8 female lifting object. But we can have a look, and just for the purposes of in this demo, we're considering poses and preloaded pre-built poses to consider. So let's have a look at some leaning. We can go to poses by function leaning. We'll just switch to files. Just see if there's anything here that might not really anything there. There's a sword pose here that might be something like it. Let me just oh yeah, that's actually broken. I remember that whole series is broken. I should get my money back on that. Yeah, I think these are all great swords. They're all broken. I mean, there's the idea that we could have her kneeling as she's opening it. But I usually like my figures standing. I mean, as a general rule, I always think figures look better standing. And certainly, based upon my DeviantArt profiles, the standing poses seem to get the most likes. So it seems to be that other people find the same. So let's just go with standing and see if we can find a standing pose here. It's going to be hard. This is something I've never actually done before, of having a figure interact with an object and trying to lift it up. But it can give us a start of having a natural body position, because I mean, nobody stands like that. In fact, let's think about, I know there is a series here which I found consistently good, and that's the Z universal standing poses. So we want region full body, and we want G8F to filter, because this is both Genesis 8 female and 9. We don't, the 9 poses clearly don't work. So let's just try to get her in a more natural pose. There we go. That's definitely a step forward, isn't it? We might just use that as a base, and then we could just pose her arm, lifting the door. Okay, so just remember that one. That's full 07. We just have a look at some of these others. I mean, that's a nice pose, but it's not suitable. Maybe. No, that's the hands in pocket one. I've seen that before. It's good, but it's not really suitable. Standing casual. So that's 8. We had 7, and then we had 8. No. She needs to have her feet more firmly planted, not just kind of chilling out kind of thing. No, again, it's a nice pose, but yeah, we're going to go with this one because it's got her feet firmly planted on the ground. I believe so. Yes. So we will just work on. Well, actually, let's just do this one thing here with a bag, so we can just get her. So here I just grabbed the hand. I'm in translate mode. Just grab the hand. And it can start doing weird things with the collar. This is the collar here. That's your shoulder, that's the collar. Sometimes moving your hands around, you have to keep an eye on collar. So I'll show you, I'll demonstrate that. If I select the collar. So you can see this is the collar here. It's where your shoulder connects to your it's hard to explain. Your shoulder is this really complicated joint that has both a socket in it, but it moves the arm about, but the shoulder itself, you know, if you hunch your shoulders or you droop your shoulders, that's that one. That's your collar. Okay, so if you watch these numbers here, I've got the right collar selected, and I move the hand around. It starts changing these collar values, and you can get some very odd. We certainly don't want the whole torso to move, but you can get some odd positions which just seem unnatural, because most of the time your shoulders are just going to be in a relaxed position unless you're actively doing something with it. Okay, otherwise you'd end up getting strain. You'd get muscle strain. So when you're moving the hand around, you sometimes have to go back to the collar and reset it. Okay, so alt click will reset the collar back to 0, and then you might have to then just do some manual. There you go. Actually, that's almost exactly what we wanted, wasn't it? I got lucky. I thought this bag was going to be the end of the world, but so far it's actually behaving. So we've almost got her right hand there ready to go. But let's just see again, because we're always striving toward realism and natural poses, and what we human being naturally be doing, and it's one of the hardest things to really get right. When you look at a lot of stuff on galleries on DeviantArt or ArtStation, what I have found, and I'm sorry if I'm sounding like a real critic here, is I just see the poses and they just look unnatural so much of the time, because they're not spending time thinking, you know, how to actually get in that pose. Now what I tend to do to try to get a realistic pose is I will actually do something with my own body, and I'll just get out of my chair and actually try to, and then get myself in that pose physically, and just say, and look at where my arm and my shoulders and my legs are and all this kind of stuff, and then say, right, that looks good, that looks realistic. Okay. So I'm doing it now, although I'm too lazy to get off my chair. But I'm thinking, I'm holding my hand out, and I'm thinking, that's how I'm going to lift up that capsule door. Okay. So that position, you can't see this obviously, but the position I'm going to try to go for is her forearm is going to be almost vertical. Okay, and her upper arm is out at this angle here. So let's see if we can get this, how quickly we can get this sorted out. Posing is a lot of fun. I say that in heavy quotation marks because you spend so much of your time doing posing. Okay. So that is... It's going to go above her there. So that's... She might still be too far away from the door. Yeah, she's too far away from the door, so we need to move her whole body over. I think it's Z. Yeah, it is. There you go. That's gonna sort it out. Sometimes you say when you just can't quite get the rotation of the articulated bones right, you sometimes find the character's just simply in the wrong position. The whole body's in the wrong position. You need to move that over. Okay. So let's just get. I said the arm the forearm would be vertical. Okay. And we obviously rotate that around for the grip. Yeah, that might be getting there. Yeah, we're close. I think we're close on this. Is that arm naturally? See, the way I've done it, the way I was looking at it, it's forward of her body. So that the collar is neutral. No, that's chest. We just reset the collar. That's fine, right? Okay, and then rotate. Shoulders are so complicated. So I've never done this pose, anything close to this pose before, which is why I'm making a real meal of it. Actually, I do think a collar needs to kind of... I'm just looking at, again, where I was doing it with my own body. That the collar, I think, needs to come forward a bit. So it's the front, back. And I need to move that. No, don't do that. There we go. I think that's about right. And I can always move this door up and down if I need to. Just do that final adjustment. The door is easy. It's just simply a one direction, whereas she's got like about 18 different directions on her arm there. I'm going to translate that now. Yeah, okay, so get that in that position there, and then we can just move the door up a little bit. Just get that on right on the whatever you call that bit between your thumb and your finger, the bottom of there. Excellent, right. And now we go to power pose to do the fingers. Always power pose for your hands. Hands, knees, and power posey daisy. That was terrible. Okay, left hand. I always get these. Often get these because you're looking at the figure, and the hands are the opposite way around. So I always got to tell myself, left hand, left arm is this one. Okay, right. So we don't actually. One thing we don't have to worry about. We don't really see our fingers there, but the thumb could end up looking a bit unrealistic if it's just pointing straight up. So let's have a look at that on iRay. Yeah. Let me just, yeah, it's probably more natural to have it bent a little bit. Thumbs, okay, you can spend ages on just thumbs alone, and they're always troublesome. See if we'll rotate that around a bit. No. If you get really stuck, then you can just go to the dials to get fine control. In fact, that thumb isn't really going anywhere, I don't think. If I was doing that with my hand, I'm just looking again at my own hand here, it would actually be pointing straight up. Right. Okay, and that door just very slightly down. If you need a really fine adjustment, I sometimes I just have to hand edit the value there. That's fine. Okay, we are getting close. We are getting close now. I think we've got the pose. Let's just go back to our camera. Okay, so she's quite small, isn't she? She's framed. You can barely see her, to be honest. So what we can do is, if you're in doubt about your cameras, but you don't want to keep going back from, you don't want to kind of lose the camera position where you started with, just create another camera. Okay. So we've got main camera there, so we'll duplicate that. Apply active transform. Just call it camera 2. I think we got rid of the other cameras. We buried those in. So we call it camera 2. Or you know what? What I tend to do is I have a main camera and then I'll do camera CU for camera close-up. Okay. So in the camera CU, let's actually now look at the camera. So we take a break from posing because I think we're pretty happy with the pose for now. We might end up wanting to finesse it later. So we're in close-up camera. So let's now look at the camera. Think about cameras. Okay. So we just go to our cameras tab. We've got camera close-up selected. Turn on depth of field. Well, I don't know, not yet. We'll just turn it off. Let's just get our lens sorted out first. So as this is a close-up camera, we probably want to go with something like 125mm focal length. I just had a thought that unless you knew otherwise, you'd think that she'd arrived at a self-storage. And that you'd have no idea that this is a Japanese capsule hotel, because self-storage lockers just look like that, don't they? All our plans just have gone to ruin. Certainly if you did a close-up, unless you can see inside the room, that you can see that it's a bedroom. Well, I say bedroom, it's got a bed in it. You think, oh yeah, she's just arrived to drop off something at the self-storage place. Right. So let me just go back to the main camera here. So even from there, you can't see another capsule. So you don't know it's a capsule hotel. So we would have to convey that information to the viewer. And I think the way that this could be done, is we'd actually have to move this camera around so that it's actually going to have another capsule there, and you're going to be able to see inside it. I may have to kill this other wall here, because I just can't get the camera angle that I need. So let's just see if we can bury this whole other side here. In fact, we don't really need this wall either. If you just zoom out here. So this is how our overall scene, isn't it? Where that came there. So that's on this corridor here. Why on earth have they got two corridors? That seems very wasteful. That you would have all of that. Wow. Let's see if we can see what we can actually hide here. That might just be enough. If we just work with one, not that one. Yeah, we want to hide this as well. Just keep selecting the surfaces and then hiding. Oh, there's just so much garbage here. They've duplicated so much on this scene. And you think, oh well, you're cheating there because now you're hiding part of the scene so you can get a camera angle. Well, yeah, but don't tell the viewer. The question is, can you get away with it without it looking artificial? So we may be able to just bury, not even show the other one. I think we may have to just abandon our whole idea of having this whole, wouldn't it look cool to see all the capsules all at once, and just focus on this one and another one too, so you can see that there's a series of them, but also see that it's actually, there's a bed there and it's not a self-storage unit. Yeah. Maybe, is that a TV there? Or a mirror or something? What is that? It just says capsule 7. That's the whole, they've put the whole thing there. I don't really want to get into moving that door and do the whole pose thing again, because we thought we just got the pose right. Okay, let's keep moving. Let's keep going. We can get bogged down, and then we can lose sight of where we're at. I just noticed something on the lighting there. That it came super bright when I hid some of that scenery, and I've got suspicion that there's an HDRI dome going on there. Let's have a look. There is a dome. We do not want the dome. Turn the dome off. So this is in render settings, environment, scene only. Right, okay. Good. Alright, so we just have scene lights. I have a third-party app called Light Manager Pro, and here we can see where our emissives are. We don't want emissives on that, are not going to have any effect. So it's found all these emissive surfaces here. There are an absolute ton of them. Oh my god. So what we'll do is, yes, it's iRay Light Manager Pro. I'll put the link in the description. It's a must buy. It's about $30, so you maybe get lucky if it's on sale. But I use this when I'm setting up my lights. So I couldn't live without it. So we actually want to turn off the spotlights. I mean, we're not selecting the spotlights. We're just selecting the emissive surfaces. You know what? I'm just going to leave them on, because if I turn them all off, then everything's going to go dark, and it's going to start to look unnatural. And actually, our rendering is on the preview is coming through relatively quickly. If I switch from that back to iRay, it renders pretty quick, which tells me that it's probably not going to be a problem. So I think we're getting close to framing this scene. Okay. And I said I might do 2 scenes, but I'm already feeling exhausted doing this, trying to do this whole scene as a demo here, because this is what happens when you start from completely nothing and have no preparation. Okay. We might. I think this on its own, if I can just get the right angle here. I need to frame Kayla so that we're orbiting around her. Kayla, frame, there we go. Right, so now we can orbit around her. So it really, do you know what? I'm thinking what we're gonna do, because we do want to see all this nice decor that the guy has, the set designer has done. We're gonna hide this one. But we need to leave that. We'll have to leave that. That's the capsule 4 corridor, because that could cause us to lose information on that side, which we don't want. So what we can do, it's just going to be one scene, one image. We're going to frame it, so we can think about framing where it's just there's almost it's flat on. No, we can't do that, because, well, it should have to be in an unnatural position. We want to get the bed in. Oh, this is so difficult with this set. It really is. This column, how do I get rid of this column here? I don't think I'm going to be able to get rid of it. If I go to surfaces, it's a whole thing. It's a whole box. Go to the editor. Yeah, I think, yep. It's the whole thing, so we're going to have to live with that. Somehow get that angle without that bloody thing being in the way. Pardon my French. So that may have to cause us to reassess the pose. Okay, that. Oh, this is going to kill me. I have to redo this. Because I mean, what I can do now is do power pose on Kayla. And have a look at the camera. See, that's unnatural. She's kind of trying to. Well. I'm going to have to rotate her, I think. Or rather, let's actually move her. I've just had a thought. Let's move her. Translate her on X, I think. Yeah, alright. There you go. Alright, so now that's how. Ooh, we could actually maybe work with that. Because I want to get the bed in. But the bed is telling you this is a capsule hotel, right? Yeah, so there's a TV there, but how would you even watch that TV from that bed position? That's mental. Oh, you got an arm there, so you move the TV out, wouldn't you? The Japanese think of everything. This post is killing me. I honestly don't know how I can get rid of it unless I edited the UV texture, which I don't know how to do. The only other way is just to zoom past it, and then I'm going to have to just do a really horrible wide angle lens. So that's the camera, close-up camera. The main camera is even. That's just no. I do not want to go below 65 because this is what happens. Look at that. It's horrible. It looks like it looks fake as hell. Yeah, this is a real problem. Just because of this godforsaken thing here, that thing there, this. It's just not giving me what I want. I'm gonna have to rotate Kayla. I'm gonna have to rotate her body, which means we're gonna have to redo that pose, and it could end up looking unnatural. Oh, what a pain! Just for that one thing. Maybe we could live with this. See, if I rotate it now, let's just demo it. If you don't know, you can always undo. If you don't know, just experiment, and then you can always back out. So if we rotate a body, I'll have a look at the camera. I've got this. I mentioned this app before. Look at camera 2, and we can toggle head movement. Move over to that side. So we toggle eye movement. That's just her eyes. We can't really see her eyes because I've got the lighting set up. We're going to do the lighting in a minute. Don't panic. But I can do toggle head movement, and then I'll move her head to. We didn't seem to actually do the whole. Oh, it's because her hair is catching there. Yeah, we'll go with that. We'll go with that. I'm gonna have to redo this bloody arm now. Maybe that's not the end of the world. If I can rotate her shoulder, that might be enough. Let's have a go. Actually, yeah, I think it is. Although that's right at the limit of her movement there, and when you get to the limit, you see the red. Watch the marker here on the red. That's right at the edge of natural body movement. So that could end up looking unnatural because it's right at the extreme. You usually want to try to keep it not going into the extreme because it can look awkward then. Imagine like moving your shoulder all the way back there. It's just not natural, is it? And I knew this was going to be a problem when I rotated the body. So it's almost like we're in a rock and a hard place here, because of the camera angle that we need, because of that stupid column I can't hide. Let's have a look at this. How does she look now? You're always asking yourself, does it look realistic? Does it look natural? Actually, it looks fine. It looks okay. I'm getting all upset about nothing, or certainly something. I'm exaggerating my concerns. Okay, I'm going to put this on hold for the moment, and then we're going to do the lighting now. Okay, let's just review the whole framing here. So we're framing the capsule within the camera. And actually, this aspect ratio here, 13:16, it actually works very well for that. I mean, it is possible. It's possible that we could go with a taller aspect ratio, which would get the whole thing in. So we could consider that. So that would be maybe 10:16, and then we'd have to zoom out, and then we zoom out, and she's a lot smaller then. I usually try to aim for my figure filling up the vertical space of the scene, you see. And we've got that horrendous bloody column there. I can see that. I'm going to do that. I think I was happy with that 13:16. So we've got her filling up most of the view, and we could probably zoom in a bit, or actually zoom in, use the camera, don't move the camera. Adjust the focal length of the camera. Okay, so yeah, good. Okay then, let's have a look at some lighting now. I've got my key light here. Let's see what where the key light is in relation to the scene. Let's select Kayla, auxiliary viewpoint, key light, and then frame, and it should then point to Kayla. Okay, so we can actually try to find her in this. Oh, there we go. There she was. All right, so move that key light over that so that we're going to have it looking like it's from above. Yeah, that's very bright. So I am gonna add a 3-point lighting to this, even though we've got scene lights and it's not a studio. Because if you were Hollywood, if you're a TV company, you would still be using 3-point lighting even in a to light up a scene correctly. But obviously we don't want it that bright. So let's go to our Light Manager Pro again. And so there's our. So we've got our studio lights here. So that's way too bright. So let's just knock down that lumens to, I don't know, 2299. Can't really see it. That's the problem. Yeah, that's actually better. Maybe again down. We just want a bit of a bit of a lift there, without dominating. Without dominating it. It's just to provide a bit of balance. Okay. The fill light, I'm actually going to, before I even, let's just turn on the fill light. Actually, why are they? They're not on, are they? I'm just going to change these now, but put that to 10,000 and the backlight to 5, because usually I find these ratios work well. 2 to 1, 2 to 1. So you got. So imagine that's 1, that's double, and that's double again. I usually find that's good for me. These are not strict standards to go forth, but I find this works well for me in general. Okay, so already that's looking a lot better, isn't it? Without taking away the realism of it. So we've got our fill light now. Where is the fill light? There she is. Alright, so again with the fill light I'm going for where's the camera? So the camera's there, so we try to go for a 45-degree from the camera. I'm going for kind of Rembrandt, which is, the Rembrandt is 45 and 45 for the fill light and the key light, 45 degrees to each side of the camera, but the key light is above and the fill light is at eye level. Okay. And the fill light isn't turned on. Let's turn it on. That's too bright. That's definitely too bright. Fill light, let's knock that down, that lumens to, I don't know, 5,000. I almost think, I don't know, I'm almost thinking maybe we don't need a fill light. Maybe we just have the key light. I think that looks better, doesn't it? Although her eyes in shadow there, you can barely see it. Put the fill light on again. Yeah, we need the fill light because it's keeping the highlights on her face, you see. On her eyes, on her corneas, it's reflecting. Whereas the unless I drop the key light down, I think the key light's too high. No, I was losing it. I like the shadow. I like the shadows that the key light was creating. That's why we need that fill light there, but just very, very soft. So we've got a height, if we look at our light geometry there, we've got a height of 120, and just so because she's a standing figure, my viewpoint on this is that your 3-point lights, your fill light and your key light, if you've got a standing figure, you want them long and tall. So the geometry is correct. You know, I'm looking at it now as the render's kind of is doing more and more rendering of that. It looks fine. I think that's fine. Let me just see if I can get the backlight on there to light her hair a bit. Backlight, also known as a hair light, just to separate the. All this is in my lighting tutorial, chapter 5, about how all these lights do. Okay. Again, they've been using these lights now in Hollywood for almost 100 years, and it's a very successful system. Positions of them, of course, vary, but generally speaking, you'd be using 3 lights. So where the camera is, unfortunately, I can't, because the camera's there, I can't get behind her. Because, so what I have to do, and there's a ceiling restriction there, I'm just going to have to plop it right above her. Yeah, that works, doesn't it? You see that there, and then turn it off. It's very subtle. It's a very slight difference. It's lighting up her hair. It's a bit bright, actually. Turn that down. Maybe down to even 1500. The concept of the backlight is to separate the head from the background by lighting the hair. Okay, yeah, I think that's fine. I'm generally happy with the lighting there. I might come back to it again if something offends me. Okay, so let's just review where we're at. We've got her pose, we've got the framing of the image, capsule hotel, figure. Figure fills the vertical space in the scene. We've got all this space. She's off to one side, which is a nice, like a 1/3. You got 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, 2/3. That's kind of a rule that works well in positioning and composition. We can see that it's a bed, it's a hotel. I'm not sure about that fabric. That fabric looks pretty awful. Just my spidey senses just got triggered by that. Looking at that bed texture there. Let's have a look at this. God almighty. Can I even... Is it just one gigantic UV texture? Yeah, it looks like it is. I don't think I'm going to be able to do anything about that. This is it. You sometimes get... Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's the UV for the normal map and the base bump. Forget it. There's nothing going to be able to do about that. See, I would tile that down to another 10 by 10 instead of 1, because that that texture is just too coarse. Yeah, I'm gonna have to live with that. Because I haven't done any UV texture editing. I've not got to that stage yet. If any of you guys have, tell me about it in the comments. It's a very advanced topic, that. So I'm just continuing this review here, this review process. I think we may be getting close to finishing this. I want to think about color again. So we've got her, obviously we've got her colors here, and that brown bag, by the way, that we can consider to be a neutral, because that brown is a coolish brown, I think. What I dare say that is. Dare say that is a cool brown as opposed to a warm brown. A cool brown's like a cocoa or a coffee. A warm brown is like a tan. I know it sounds strange talking about brown being cool or warm, but believe me, there are cool. If you go and look at Carol Jackson's palettes, go watch the color video if you've not seen it, and they've got the link to the color palettes for the different seasons. I almost think I might want to just slightly edit that brown color because it's looking slightly off of what it should be. There it is, PHB. So it was in the main texture. It is actually quite cocoa-y, isn't it? So a warm brown would be, if I move this over to this way, and you can see that is horrendous. It's really jarring badly. Undo that. Make it cooler by shifting it more toward the red. Yeah, I'm not 100% happy with it. I mean, it could have completely abandoned brown and go with maybe a different color entirely. I mean, like this. No, I'm not going to do that. It's just, again, you're trying too hard then, aren't you? I wasn't being serious. Let's just go with this brown, it's fine. And actually we do need to get that bag positioned correctly. That almost looks like such a better position. Yeah, it's going to be two different. We'll do two different renders. Because here on this, is she looking at the camera? I swear to God, if I have to do this again, look at camera. We don't need that. We just need the eye movement. Oh, it wasn't turned on. That explains everything. Now she's looking at the camera properly. Thank you, Kayla. Right. Now we have your full attention. Yeah. We can do two different camera renders here. Okay. What was I doing? I was doing, oh that's right, I was doing the bag. Good grief. Yeah, alright, let's sort this out. It's just not quite right. Select the bag and then let's see if we can just move. There we go. That's intuitively the best way. Yeah, shoulders, chicken, got a bit of chicken arms there. So you move the shoulder. Yeah, because you see, like there, nobody has their shoulder like that, do they? Even though you get the rotator, you still get the hand in the same position. But now she's like a chicken. Chicken wings. We don't want buffalo wings. And we don't want bingo wings either, by the way. She's too young to have bingo wings. So let's just get that more natural and then we just rotate it. So she got her arms almost like resting on the bag there. And, you know, we can sometimes if you can't quite get the geometry right on something, you can cheat. And here's a really good tip: you can cheat by adjusting the scale of it. because you see there it's clipping her hand. Even though we've got a nice natural pose on her there, it's clipping her hand. So we can actually just do a Y scale. So it just gives us a bit more latitude. Well, actually, let's do a global scale. Well, it's looking rather large then, isn't it? But well, she is an overnight bag. She's got all the bits and pieces in there. You've got toiletries, change of clothes, everything. So it is quite a big bag. All right, let's move it down again. Yeah, I overdid that scaling. Just adjust that scale back until we get that clipping on her. I think. Right, yeah, okay, that looks fine. Now we just get this hand right so that it's resting on it. No, not that one. Yeah, power pose for the win. Display those hands a bit. Get that, let's move that thumb out. So yeah, so now you see like she's kind of holding onto it, like stabilizing it, whereas before it just like the hand wasn't really doing anything. And when you're carrying a bag, your hand is actually doing quite a lot. So that looks more realistic. I mean, now we just do those fingers individually, so they're touching the bag. Looks good. Let's just do an eye-ray check there to make sure there's no clipping, or eye-ray will often show you the shadows, you see. Yeah, that looks alright. Right, we'll just zoom out a bit here, just make sure it's on her shoulder. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, that looks fine, yeah. Back to the main camera then. You know what, this is starting to look like a scene, isn't it? As in something, you know, close to finishing. Aha, I realised there was something missing. We have not turned on depth of field. We need to do that. Camera, main camera, DOF on. I have a cheating little script here, which gives me, when I select, I might publish this at some point, but I ended up having to do some research into some scripting behavior, because I found that the utilities online that do eye focusing are like very expensive. So I select her and I select the camera, and I've got a hotkey that will just get me in the ballpark of where I need to be, and then I actually then do a fine adjustment by looking. It's got the camera selected in the scene, viewport, perspective view. Okay, make this draw it down a bit bigger there. So we want to have a focal plane to be on her eyes, which can be quite tricky because I can't get the angle that I need to see that, which is really annoying. I could try looking at it from above. Yeah, that's how I do it. Say her eyes, where are her eyes? Her eyes are there. Okay, you want to try to get it on the cornea, basically as close as possible. That's actually pretty accurate. That script, that got it almost exactly there. Yeah, that looks fine. And if you look at it in the main view, you can see that she's in focus and her eyes look like they're in focus. Although it's not a perfect science. Sometimes I've actually started a render or even finished a full render and then just realized that the eyes were not totally in focus because I forgot to do a final check. Okay, okay, so let's think about the depth of field here. So that DOF is showing pretty tight DOF. The default is 22 f-stop. And unless you've got a super long lens, which we don't in this case, a 73mm lens with an f-stop of 22 gives us a pretty good focal depth of field. I could just really narrow that down, and it just looks like a diorama, and she's only 1 inch tall. You know, it's just wrong. And if you go the other way, then you start to lose the depth, the feeling of, well, the depth of field, because it just looks more like everything's more in focus. So the default, I actually think, was just right. We got her nicely in focus here. This is kind of blurry to show the depth of it, and actually it's done us a bit of a favor in hiding some of that disgusting texture on the bed. So yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm happy with that. Okay, what we need to actually think about. I haven't even done her hair. I haven't looked at her hair, and I haven't even looked at her expression. She's got a neutral expression right now. 0 expression. Let's actually have a look at that. I completely forgot about that. So we go to posing, post controls, head. Now we can just give. She's got this really cool expression dial here. So she's happy. She's happy that she's arrived. Is she happy that? Would you be happy that you'd arrived at a capsule hotel? You know what? I'm actually going to have to do a zoom in here because I can't really see her face properly. So not with the IRA, with all the other stuff going on. So let me just go to perspective. Yeah, and we'll just do a zoom in on her face just to sort this out. Try to get her looking in that view, the plane of the camera, the direction rather. Let's just go with yeah, I mean, that's just too much. Maybe she, I mean, with expressions, maybe she's saying, "Hey, who are you taking a picture of me getting into my capsule hotel?" She's in shock or surprised. No, that's ridiculous. Stop being ridiculous. Let's just try this other one here. No. She's a G8, so I don't have access to these other expression dials that I have on my G8.1s. I almost think I just need to upgrade it to 8.1. Although I don't know if it's going to work properly if I do that. Let me just try to do some individual dials here. No. That's we have to use her. She's quite a touchy character, this one. There's still a lot of shadow going on her face. I've just seen that. I'm just going to maybe up this fill light a bit. So I knock that down to 5,000, put it to 10. No, it makes it look unnatural. She's excited. It's her first time in Japan. She's heard about these crazy capsule hotels, which I believe you only get in Tokyo. I don't know. Somebody else might know if you've seen them anywhere else, or in some kind of cyberpunk narrative. But you know, Japan always feels like it's 20 years ahead of the rest of the world, doesn't it? If you've ever been there, you see it's like stepping into the future. Anyway, so she's like, my God, I'm here in the capsule hotel. I've stepped 20 years into the future. She's super excited. She's so excited she's probably not going to be able to sleep. Yeah, okay. So let me just maybe just a little bit more on that posing dial, the expression dial there. I don't know. Maybe I'm happy with that. All right, yeah. Let's leave it with that now. So let me just sort the hair out here. This is a first time I've ever used this hair product, so I am going to be all over the place here trying to do its so I just conscious of the fact that that is poking out there. Left, is that the one? No. With hair products, you just have to get to know each one and remember where the dials are, and then favourite the ones that you know, the ones that you use a lot of. Otherwise, you do a lot of messing about, farting about, trying to find the actual dial you need. Yeah, because she's got her head slightly at an angle. Hair obviously follows gravity. So I've adjusted that one so that it's just going straight down, and that one was already being pulled over to the center a little bit. It's actually now clipping a t-shirt. Oh, it's going to drive me crazy. There are so many dials that have come with this hair. I mean, it's a really good hair product, but the dials, sometimes I just think there can be too many. Alright, there is a bit of clipping going on there, but I don't think it's completely obvious. And my patience has run out and you don't want to watch me mess about with this hair for half an hour. Okay, so let's just go back to the main camera. I just realised that bag is actually almost being clipped off the end of the scene there, so we just have to scroll out a little bit. Because we moved the camera there, just do the eyes again. Okay, I think we are almost done. We're getting very close to rendering this now. Unless I've forgotten something spectacular here. That light there, I think, is too bright. And the reason I saw that is because I'm starting to think about the tone mapping. So the tone mapping is in our render settings. This is on the video about rendering. The tonal balance is actually pretty good with these default settings. Film ISO 100, shutter speed of 128. If I just drop that, increase the shutter speed a bit. Yeah, so that's probably too dark. Ah, yeah, well that is one way we could get around if we can't find that light. So that's JCH Capsule 7. Let me just see if I can quickly find that emissive. I don't think we're going to find it. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to cheat here by leaving the emissives in here. We're not going to touch them, but we'll just increase the spotlights. So we increase the shutter speed to drop the. So we drop that light down. So this is now dimmer. It's still very bright, isn't it? God. Yeah, alright, so now what we do is we go to our spotlights and we can adjust them one at a time. You can adjust them one at a time, but for brevity I'm going to just load up my the area light manager. Turn those off. So we've just got our spotlights selected. And then we can change the scene power, change scene only lights power. So we just quadruple those. So that's just done that to our spotlights now. All three spotlights just got quadrupled, and I'll show you that if I go there. So you see now, that was 20,000, now it's 80. That was 5, and that was 1500 before. So again, another collective actions tab in iRay Light Manager Pro, save you a bit of time. That's actually looking quite tonally well balanced now. Yeah. Maybe just going back to render settings, just drop that shutter speed a bit. One thing I didn't mention, by the way, on the when I did the rendering and the tonality, is this thing called this supposedly auto exposure. So you click on this auto exposure and you probably put it on her face or something like that, but I never get it. It never comes out right. You see, I don't use it because it does that. So I don't know if I'm using it wrong, or whether the programming needs to be redone on that. Anyway, so I just never use it. I just do all my manual adjustments here. Do we need to do burn highlights? Probably not. I think the contrast is fine, although that highlight is burning itself out there. I mean, if you were to completely turn that down, it's still so bright that. But we don't want to lose contrast with the rest of the image. We'll just reset that. I think we're done here. I think this is finished. This is I just looked at my recording time. It's 2 hours. Obviously, I'm going to edit it down, but I've been on this now. I've been on this 2 hours now, which I suppose is not too bad considering it's a completely from scratch scene, from concept to final render, which is what I promised honestly I would do on this video. One last thing is this color here. I did think about this earlier, and I just wanted to get around to it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to edit this, but I would like to change that color, because that color is like a sick yellow, like a sick beige, which to me it's not in her color palette, and it's right next to her face. Let me see if we can do the surface selector here. JCH1. Yeah, it's just one gigantic UV map. I can't do anything about it unless I was to kind of do a color replace in Photoshop, and I'm just not going to do that just to make one color adjustment. I mean, you could cheat by putting a tint over it, for instance. I mean, just to exaggerate this, if I did that to red. That's actually, no, that was a good test, wasn't it? Because all it did is it just changed that, and it changed this one here, but everything else looked like it stayed the same. So what would happen if I try to change that to a bluish? Yeah, I don't know. It just needs to cool down that that kind of sick beige, you know, like 1980s computer hardware beige. I don't think that'll do it, because cyan itself is warm. Let me see if I can just tint it a little bit. What happens if I go the other way? If I go to red, I mean, that shouldn't do it. It shouldn't do it right, but no, definitely not. See, that would make it grey then, which would actually kill that. I've successfully neutralized it, so then now it's grey. Or you could just darken it. Yeah, actually that might work. In fact, that does work, because she's got blonde hair, right? And she was getting a bit lost in it. Now that I've darkened it, we can see her head a lot much more clearly. That's a big win. Just suddenly having that idea. Well, it wasn't actually even my intention to bring out her head, but it did. I was just trying to see what would happen if it was darker, and then we just got this bonus that came out. That's made a massive difference. If I undo that, she's completely lost in it, and then redo. Boom. Yeah, I was almost getting ready to render this, and then I just saw this at the last minute, and I was unhappy with it, and that's a big bonus we've gotten out of that. Okay, one last thing. I've got attention on her sneakers now. They just seem to be getting lost in this lost in this thing here, and I know you just think, oh please just end the video, we just want to see the final render, but I am I am a perfectionist. I am a perfectionist, and if there's something that is bothering me, I can't let it go. So let's get that texture up again. The HL conform trainers, sneakers, depending on which side of the Atlantic you're on. And we could potentially do some hand editing here. Let me just go and look at these presets one more time. So let's just say we did that, and we did the pink soles. No, oh, this is going to drive me crazy. Maybe we just have that pink accent. Can I hand edit that pink? Where is that pink color? Sole, there it is. I set that to none, and then hand edit the pink. Yeah, that works. This isn't a stream, so I can't ask for your opinion in real time. I have to just basically ask you, and then in retrospect you're going to say, yeah, it's fine, or no, that's horrible, why did you render it? I'm going to render this now. I'm going to render it. We're done. Okay, right, so let's go. I'm going to see how long this is going to take. Oh, let's just check our dimensions here. So I'm going to do full 4K. So we set out, because this is going to be the height. The height is going to be the biggest. So we just set the width to 2160. Yep, okay. Let's go. Render. So just final check on render settings. I don't know how long this is going to take, but I just always have my upper limit set to 3600. Max samples, I don't think it's gonna, I'm gonna just up that to 7500. Sometimes 5000 isn't enough in a low lit scene if you've got especially if you've got complex light going on. But this is rendering pretty quick in the viewport, so I don't think we can have a problem with it. But I'll just put it to anyway. Put it to 7500 anyway. Okay, let's go. So as a tip, when I actually just get the render process going, I always do render to new window, so I can just watch it carefully as it's starting out to make sure there are no immediate issues coming through. For instance, here I wanted to just check that the eyes are in focus, and it looks like they are. Let's just have a look at the rest of it. Don't look at that texture, it's so horrible. Those feet, yeah, feet. I may have to just cancel this and redo, because I don't think that foot's not lined up right. Abort. This is a normal part of the process of you start your render and then you spot something that you didn't get right. And it would not be an honest demo if I hadn't taken you through that. What is going on with this foot? It looks like he's got it crushed in some kind of heavy machinery or something. Right, let's see if we can lift that up. Yeah, it was actually, it was half buried in the floor. I think we might have to just lift her up a little bit. Yeah, that's yeah. So just we've got her on the. I sometimes find this is just too coarse to move this dial when you're doing fine adjustments for feet. So what I do is I have the translate tool, and then I've got the actual thing here, so I can just drag this in the viewport for a very fine adjustment. So there we've got the shoes, just clip in there just a little bit. That's fine, right? And just do that, just check that the toe, yeah, and that one. Okay, I think that was it. I think that was the only correction we needed on the shoes. Actually, no. Go back. Is there something going on with her toes here that's deforming the shoe? No, I just think that shoe can't really handle it. Kayla's got very long toes for some reason. And I don't really want to mess with the. Sometimes if you get issues with shoes, they might be helpful enough, and they're providing something in the shaping tab. In this case, no. So you can go to parameters and sometimes adjust the scale, and that just completely breaks the universe. We're not going to mess with these, just leave them as they are. They're kind of a detail at the bottom, which is not really obvious, but it's the perfectionist streak in me, which is my own worst enemy. I'm going to render this again. Let's get this render going again. Do you see what I see? I see a hand there that's just been chopped up. For some reason, that when we moved the door, we moved to rotated it. I didn't get that done properly. Another cancel. Hands and feet, hands and feet, hands and feet. It's all I ever do in DAZ. Well, most of the time. See if we can translate that. Yeah, it breaks a thumb, doesn't it? Oh joy! You thought you'd gotten away with it. I thought I had. And now we're faced with the fact that we actually have to do this. Gonna have to do some more work here. Gonna rotate that hand there. This might be difficult to get right because there might be a bit of cheating here. Generally, if you can't see it from the camera, nobody's any the wiser. So if I have that zoomed in with the perspective view, but from the viewpoint of the camera. Yeah, I can get away with that. I got away with murder, I think. Yeah, that's fine. Let's render again. Okay, I just realized it was on the other window here. So this is actually going to be a pretty quick render. It's already at 45% after only 30 seconds. I suspect it'll be about 5 minutes, which is really, very economical for my electric bill. Alright, so we're just doing some final checks again here, checking the render carefully. Eyes are looking at the camera, eyes are in focus, check. The hair clipping is not an issue that I can see. A hand on the bag looks fine. Bag itself looks fine. That hand is now okay. Tonality, I can always maybe lift that a little bit if maybe it's just maybe on the dark side a little bit. You see, that's completely whited out. But it's a detail, I can live with it. Feet are on the floor. Looks good. Anything else? Don't look at the bed texture. I told you don't look at the bed texture. And you looked, didn't you? Go on, have a good look at it. Okay, looks fine. I can't see any more errors. And that colour is great now. It's like a taupe kind of colour, isn't it? Dark taupe. It's like a slightly brown grey. Okay, how are we doing on the time? So we'll just move this over there so we can actually watch the render and you can see the time progression at the same time. I'm going to speed this up on the on the video, on the final video. Okay, so it's hanging about 98% there, so we're just going to finish there. I've just looked closely at the render there. It looks fine. It's just hanging on some kind of detail, some light bounce that is not consequential to the final quality of the image. So we'll end it there. We'll end the render there. Cancel that and save. And here's the final render. Okay, so that was it. So I took you through the painful and torturous process of producing this piece of art. I'm pretty happy with it. I think it looks it's to the standard that I would want. Okay, so I think that covers it for this video and also for this foundation course. I hope this demo acts as a good summary of all the aspects of DAZ artistry that we've been over in this series, from characters and posing to lighting and cameras, color and rendering. You should now have all the tools you need to start making your own beautiful art with DAZ, or if you're already a veteran, then I hope the material covered has filled in some gaps in your knowledge and technique. Although this series is ended, I will be covering some more advanced aspects such as deforce and simulation, deformers and mesh distortions to name but two in future videos, and I'll be doing some more concept to render demos as a regular feature. If there's a particular topic that you'd like me to cover, then feel free to leave a suggestion in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video or found it useful, then please make sure you like and subscribe. You can learn more about my art by following me at Generation 3DX on DeviantArt. I'll see you in the next video.